Welcome back to Grief Inspired. Now, here at Grief Inspired, one of my main missions is to really get people talking about grief, to find tools and solutions that are going to help you and really take the grief experience and find a way to learn from it. Find a way to be inspired based on your grief to create change. And if you do work through your grief is absolutely going to change you. And for each of us, it's going to change us in different ways. It's the beginning of the year, and it's January 12th, and everybody's talking about New Year's resolutions and things that are happening, and you may not want to be part of any of that. But one of the things that I'm focusing on is really making sure that I have an environment that supports me. I know a lot of times I seem very positive on my videos, and I do that because I want to show you the positive side of grief. I want to show you how things can get better. I want to give you the hope that you need to get through the day. But things aren't always positive for me. And there's times when I really struggle, and there's times when I want to give up. There's times when I think, well, I'm not supporting anybody. I'm not really making the difference that I want in the world. My life isn't necessarily always exactly how I want it. And I felt that way a lot when I was deep in my grief too, because you want things to be different and they just aren't. And you have to figure out how to deal with that. So when it comes to my environment, there's some things that I in particular do, and I want to encourage you to find the things that support you before we get into how grief changes you. But so for example, I always have YouTube on my TV. I always have it playing some soft, soothing music because for me, that's what calms me down. I have a tendency to run hot. I have a tendency to be anxious a lot of the time. And so having the softness of the music really just sets the tone for me. And I keep it on when I'm working, when I'm cleaning at home, when I'm preparing my videos, when I'm writing. I just have it there because it's a safety, and it's something that is a constant, and it really just helps control my mood, and I like that. I wanted to show you too, I don't know if you've had one of these. So this is an amaryllis. And what I love about the amaryllis, and this is the first one I've actually ever had in my home. I've seen them before, and my sister buys them for my mom all the time. But I'm really blown away by this. And what I like about it is I bought it before Christmas, and you can get them at Target, and they're $13, and it's the bulb. And they give you everything you need, and you put the dirt in there, you add some water, and then you just let it grow. And so I did this I started it mid-November, and now it has these glorious blooms that are ginormous. I actually got lucky. It looks like it was a double. So there's actually another blossom that's going to blossom, and I'm really excited about that. And there's a couple things about this that I was thinking about. Is one, I love the flowers, and flowers make me happy. I love plants. For those of you who know me, I'm not a believer in cut flowers. I do like them, but cut flowers die, and I don't want to have death around me. There's the time when they start to wither and they get brown, and I don't like that. So plants, typically, I can keep them alive, and so this is a really easy one. So that's something that I really, really like. And then the other thing I do is I always have a candle lit, so I know you can't see it here, but I have, this candle is my latest one, and I got this, I try to get them when I'm on vacation or, just whenever I can find them, because it reminds me of a time when I was out and about and doing something. And so having the candle and having the flicker and having the fragrance is supportive for me. It's what works for me. And so I want to encourage you to decide what's the environment that works for you. Is there music that has to be around? Is there a certain way you have the lighting set that would help you? I like things to be sort of calm, and I'm sitting here by my window because, and let me see if I don't know if I can show you any of this or not, but I love my backyard, and there's another setup that I have out there for another video, but I love being able to look out my windows. I love having the openness of the windows, letting the light shine in, because all of those things are really positive. And it was something that, one of the reasons why I moved to California was this is the time of year when people start getting depressed because it's gray outside, and it has been raining a lot here. But I'm really excited that, the last couple of days it's been really nice. It's still chilly, but the sun's out, and that always sort of brightens my mood a little bit. So in terms of how grief changes you, one of the things that I try to do, I really want to be able to support you. I want you to remember that you're not alone in your grief. I try to create videos that I hope you will find supportive, that will be not only supportive but also informative, that will give you tools or things you can try just to ease the pain a little bit and to help you get through that time of change and that transition, because grief is temporary. Grief is a transition. You're not always going to feel as deep a level of pain as what you may be feeling now. It is a season, it's a time, and it's temporary, and so you are going to get through it. But some of what I do is, in trying to do my best to support you, one of the things that I do is I'm always kind of doing my own personal work. And I very much believe that looking within, and if you want to call it personal development, I call it personal development or self-evaluation or insights, the more of that you do, the more you're going to heal. And it doesn't mean you have to do it all now, but just over time, looking at your life, looking at who you are as a person, today we're going to talk about how grief changes you. All of these things are really helpful during the process. They'll get you through the transition, and ultimately at the end, you'll come out ahead, meaning you will have learned things that you otherwise wouldn't have learned. And I believe that that's going to make you a better, stronger, more empathetic, and just more of who you're meant to be. I believe that this grief process and any type of struggle that we have to go through is a way and an opportunity to develop ourselves. So one of the things that I do in my own personal development is I follow some thought leaders who help people who are entrepreneurs, help people who want to make a difference in the world. And they recognize that personal development is just as important as, any business sense when you want to be successful. And what I like about this last Friday Night Live, I work with or follow Danelle Delgado, and I'm enrolled in several of her courses. She's wonderful. I love her energy. She's just one person that really resonates with me, and I think we need to find people who resonate with us, and it's just something that just, it makes us feel better. It makes us feel more of who we are. And so with her, she helps me tap into more of who I am. And she did an exercise this week that was really good, and I see it as an opportunity to help me be a better person so that I can help you more, right? It gives me more insights into myself and hopefully into the struggles that other people are going through, and being able to support you. So one of the things that she was asking about is she did a Friday Night Live, and you can find her on Facebook if you want to find her. But she basically said, "Who the heck are you?" And she had us sort of evaluate our life and do a personal audit. And this is a good thing to do because it's January, of who we are and who we want to be. And I'd like to take the opportunity to apply that to where you are now and apply that to your grief. So I want to encourage you to write some things down, take out a pen and paper, watch this video again, pause it now if you need to, and go get something. And just, I want to ask you a few questions, and I'd love to have you just think on them. Write down some notes, whatever comes to you. And the questions are, who were you before you lost the person that's so special in your life? Who were you before you lost your mother or your parents or your child? Who were you before you lost your spouse? Who were you before you lost your pet? All of these things are really life-changing. And so looking at saying, okay, who was I before? And now that you're probably in it, what's changed? Who are you being now? How have things changed from the day you found out that your loved one or your animal, or from that initial loss? How have you changed? What's different? What did you like about yourself before? What did you not like about yourself? How are you being now? Do you like what's happening now? Do you like your life? Are you looking at your life and saying, okay, well, what I realize now that the things that I spent a lot of time focusing on maybe aren't quite as important as they used to be. And in terms of who you're being now, are you being gentle with yourself? Or are you beating yourself up? Are you saying I should be feeling better by now? Are you saying I need to just suck it up a little bit? Are you closing yourself off? Are you starting to isolate yourself? Or are you starting to talk about your grief and the death, and maybe finding someone to share with? And I'm not talking about sharing it with the world necessarily, right? My Facebook support group, it's called Grief Inspired, What You Need to Know About Grief. It's a safe place to share. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't share, and that's okay. But it's a place where you can, and it's a place where you can be safe, and that there's a direct correlation between you sharing what's going on with you in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, with other people. It's healing, getting it out. So are you being gentle with yourself, or are you judging yourself? Are you being too hard on yourself, or are you finding ways to support yourself in your grief? A lot of times people feel like they need to be working at the same level, if you have a career, at the same level as you were before you lost your loved one. And sometimes that's hard. And it might be that you might need to cut yourself a break and saying, well, you know what, I'm working at 75 or 80%. And I think that's really good, given everything that I'm going through. So who are you being now? Who were you? Who are you being now? And I want to encourage you again to write these things down. And what's really great is the next step is then to be able to say, well, who do you want to be? Right? And depending on where you are, you can decide that. And that's some evaluation that I've been doing personally myself. And I think that, I did it when I was deep in my grief, and it's something that's really good to come back to over and over again throughout our lives. Are we being who we want to be? Are we doing what we want to do? Are we spending our time where we want to spend our time? Are we making the difference in the world that we want to make? Is it enough? And here's the thing. Grief sucks. We all know this. I talk about it all the time. It's difficult. It's a period of time that it sent my life in turmoil, and your life may be in turmoil too. And you may be thinking that you can't make it through, but I'm here to tell you that you can. That grief is a season, that it's temporary, that you're learning, and that it will change you. So this is an opportunity to dive a little deeper and say, how is this changing me? Right? What have you learned? The process of struggling, the process of trying to figure it all out. I believe in everything that I've gone through, that the reason why we struggle and the reason why we lose our kids and we lose our spouses to tragedy and why people die too soon, it's because we need to grow. And there may not be any rhyme or reason to why it actually happens, but it's an opportunity. And it teaches us to grow. And I believe that it unfolds. If you let it, it can unfold who you are as a person. It will help you understand the gifts that you have to give to the world. Maybe you feel really passionate about something because, I've heard a lot lately about suicide. There's been a lot of it going on. Maybe that means that there's an opportunity for you to educate people about suicide. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to talk to somebody, to use what you've learned, to share what you've learned, and to combine that with the gifts that you have as a person to make a difference in one person's life or to make a difference in a whole lot of lives. Grief will change you. Grief can change you in a positive way. And listen, and if you're in an area where you're stuck, I get it. I've spent a lot of time stuck, and I've been stuck recently too. And I've been realizing that maybe I've been drinking a little bit too much. Maybe I haven't been supporting myself. Maybe I've been a little too hard on myself. And my question for you is, are you doing the same thing? Are you part of, doing destructive behaviors for yourself? Are you not nurturing yourself? How is grief changing you? Let grief change you for the positive. Figure out who grief is turning you into and answer the question, because of my grief, I am someone who, and finish the sentence. How has grief changed you? I would absolutely love to hear some feedback. And I know that feedback is hard. I know that people don't want to share here. I know that we're all worried about what other people are going to think, what other people are going to say. It's completely normal. When you are in my Grief Inspired Facebook group, you will absolutely have a safe place where you can share what's going on with you. And the more you share, the more you learn. And the more you share, the more you heal. And that's why we're here to heal and to grow and to learn. So my final question to you is, how has grief changed you?